Hello and welcome to Chapter 11 of the OpenStax Lifespan Development Textbook. Today we're going over physical and cognitive development in early adulthood, ages 18 to 29. All of the following information is directly from OpenStax and their free resources online. You can find a link to the textbook in the description below. Thank you to OpenStax for providing this free resource for students. Let's begin. Figure 11.1. Becoming an adult involves finding meaningful ways to put your skills to use. Chapter outline. 11.1 Becoming an adult. 11.2 Physical health and growth in early adulthood. 11.3 Sexuality. 11.4 Cognitive development. And 11.5 Context, higher education, and work achievement. 11.1 Becoming an adult. We're going to explain the major developmental tasks and expected outcomes of young adulthood. We'll describe environmental factors that impact reaching. We're going to describe environmental factors that impact reaching physical and cognitive milestones in young adulthood. Figure 11.2. Arnett's theory of emerging adulthood proposes 5 challenges to resolve during this time in our life. This includes identity exploration, more commonly associated with Erik Erikson's identity versus role confusion, being in an age of possibilities, feeling in between, self-focus, and instability. Figure 11.3. Globalization provides opportunities for people from different cultures to interact with and influence each other, such as this meeting of young adults at the 2016 Global Entrepreneurship Summit. Figure 11.4. The DACA program provided many people with opportunities. In section 11.2, we're going to talk about physical health and growth in early adulthood. We'll identify major features in physical health and change across early adulthood, describe the markers of physical maturity that appear and are completed, identify lifestyle choices that promote healthy outcomes for early adulthood and beyond. Table 11.1, summary of changes in bodily systems during young adulthood. We'll look at the bodily system, the change, and then the result. Firstly is bones. The change is that it's the end. Firstly is bones. The change here is the ends of bones fuse and increase bone density. The result is stronger bones. Next is joints. Synovial fluid declines as early as age 28, which the result can be stiff joints. Next is skin. Collagen declines after age 25, skin wrinkles. Body composition. Fat and non-fat tissue increase early. Non-fat tissue declines in mid-20s for men. So the result is increases in body fat and muscle and a decline in muscle amount and strength. And lastly is endocrine function. Testosterone peaks for AMAB, fasting glucose levels drop, and insulin resistance increases. The result is the height of reproductive ability and glucose tolerance declines. Figure 11.5. Exercise has many potential benefits for our physical and mental well-being. Figure 11.6. The Eisenhower matrix classifies tasks along 2 dimensions, urgency and importance. Something that is important and urgent, do. Something that is important but less urgent, decide. If it's less important but urgent, delegate. Less important and less urgent, delete. Figure 11.7. The percentage of the population considered on track for healthy development due to having potential beneficial characteristics and life circumstances such as income and good emotional skills shows variance by race. When looking at the image above, we have the percent on track and life stages by race. You have the 3 categories in blue, white and other, yellow, Hispanic, and red or burgundy as black. You have the percentages with adulthood, transition to adulthood, adolescence, early adolescence, middle adulthood, early elementary school, pre-kindergarten, and circumstances at birth. I encourage you to pause the video and look over this chart. 11.8. EQ plus adults may experience discrimination, violence, and even criminal persecution, which can negatively affect their well-being. Figure 11.9. Being able to legally drink alcohol brings new experiences and challenge. Table 11.2, the percentage of adults age 18 to 22 reporting using specific substances within the last month. We'll look at the following on the left and then go through college male, college female, non-college male, and then non-college female. With marijuana usage, the college male includes 22.6%, college female 19.9%, non-college male at 24.8%, and non-college female at 22.4%. Heavy drinking is higher among college male and female, with college male being 9.7, college female being 6.8, the non-college male being 6.9%, and non-college female at 5.7%. Prescription drugs, the college males at 3.4%, college females 3.1%, the non-college male is at 3.1%, and the non-college female at 3.7%. Hallucinogens, 1.8% for college males, 1% for college females, 2.6% for non-college males, and 1.6% for non-college females. Cocaine is at 1.2% for college males, 1.4% for college females, 1.2% for college male, and non-college female at 1.8%, whereas the lowest usage being with methamphetamines at 0.2% for college male, 0% for college female, 0.4% for non-college male, and 2.2% for non-college females. Table 11.3, classes of drugs and their effects. We'll look at stimulants, sedative hypnotics, or aka depressants, opiates, and hallucinogens. For stimulants, an example of these include the category of cocaine, amphetamines, including some ADHD medications such as Adderall, methamphetamines, MDMA, aka ecstasy or Molly. The effects on the body include increased heart rate, body temperature, overall increases of activity in the nervous system. Psychologically addicting, yes. Sedative hypnotics, aka depressants, including alcohol, barbiturates, for example, benzodiazepines or your Xanax. It decreases heart rate as well as blood pressure and is psychologically addicting. Opiates include heroin, fentanyl, morphine, oxycodone, Vicodin, methadone, and other prescription pain relievers. The effects include decreased pain, pupil constriction, decreased gut motility, and decreased respiratory function. And this is psychologically addicting as well. Hallucinogens include marijuana, LSD, mescaline, DMT, dissociative anesthetics, including ketamine and PCP. The effects on the body include increased heart rate and blood pressure that may dissipate over time. And this is psychologically addicting as well. Figure 11.10. Causes of death aren't equally distributed across a lifespan. Some causes are more likely for some age groups than others. When looking at the image above, we have the number of deaths, and then we have some leading causes of deaths by age group. It looks as though unintentional injury there in blue had increases from 15 to 24 up significantly to 25 to 34, and then remained relatively consistent while lowering out at 45 to 54. Homicide being there in yellow, where it's staying relatively consistent from 15 to 34 and seeing a gradual decline from 35 to 44 up to 45 to 54, lowering even further. But where we see an increase in heart disease in brown is at its lowest number of deaths being from 15 to 24, then steadily increasing from 25 to 34, 35 to 44, and then skyrocketing from 45 to 54. And then lastly is diabetes, which again, a similar pathway as heart disease, but not seeing as much of an explosion like heart disease, but still steadily increasing over the lifespan from 15 to 54. Figure 11.11. Mental health issues can affect many aspects of our well-being. Figure 11.2. Risk factors for suicide by category. Figure 11.2. Risk factors for this topic by category. This is going on YouTube, so I'm not 100% sure if I say this word, if YouTube will keep this video up. I'm sure a lot of people can read it. I will let that be the case, but we're going to go over the individual risk factors, the relationship risk factors, community, and societal. With individual prior attempts, history of mental illness, chronic illness, legal issues, financial loss, substance abuse, and victim of violence. Next, with relationship, bullying, volatile relationships, family history, loss of relationships, and social isolation. Community, decreased access to healthcare, cluster occurring in the community violence and discrimination. Societal includes stigmas with seeking mental health help, access to instruments utilized, and unsafe media portrayals. 11.3, sexuality in early adulthood. And this section will define young adult sexuality, define identity and orientation, explain the connections between activity and health, and explain the risk factors for and consequences of sexual assault and harassment. Figure 11.13, sexuality involves several different components, each of which may change over time. We have this wheel here for sexuality of beliefs, feelings, behaviors, sexual attraction, gender identity, and sexual activity. Figure 11.14, attitudes towards sexuality and sexual behavior can be affected by one's culture. 11.15, the experience of sexuality is unique to everyone. 11.16, sexual attraction and sexual experiences are determined by a complex combination of factors. 11.17, pregnancy and parenthood are major life changes. Now 11.4, cognitive development in early adulthood, will briefly identify the cognitive capabilities that develop during early adulthood, describe the developmental changes in social cognition associated with early adulthood, and describe the contextual and cultural factors that influence the development of early adult cognitive capabilities. Table 11.4, characteristics of post-formal thought. We'll look at the cognitive characteristic first, then look at what it does, and then an example. Firstly is flexible. What does it do? It aids our ability to transfer between forms of logic, such as between abstract and concrete thought. An example of this would be a person thinking concretely about their favorite video game and then abstractly about how video games can be used for education or stress relief. Secondly is helpful in defining problems. What it does is it allows us to describe an issue. An example of this can be students in a group project might define conflicts they have as miscommunication or a personality clash. Cognitive characteristic of practical includes that it points us to pragmatic solutions. An example of this would be someone weighing two job offers can evaluate the practical aspects of each one, for example, commute time, work hours, and benefits, to decide which one will better meet their goals. Next, open to multiple solutions. What this does is it helps us acknowledge that most problems have more than one cause and solution, and that people facing the same problem may have different goals. An example includes a marriage counselor has to consider their client's individual situation and not take a one-size-fits-all approach. Lastly is open to paradox. This shows us that sometimes a situation that seems contradictory may work. A student doing a term paper spends time writing an outline and researching sources before actually starting to write, enabling them to finish more efficiently than a classmate who just starts writing with no plan in mind. Table 11.1, cognitive skill development in early adulthood. We'll look at the cognitive skill or thinking skill, what happens in early adulthood, and an example of relevant tasks. Firstly is fluid intelligence, as we have described in previous chapters. This peaks in our 20s. An example includes a psychology student can interpret statistical information to understand a journal article. With crystallized intelligence, it increases until our 40s when it peaks. An artist can use her knowledge of different sculpture materials to determine the best one to use. Next is working memory. Next is our working memory. It improves during our 20s and peaks around age 30. A nurse can calculate drug dosages in his head. Inhibitory control peaks in our 20s. And an example of this would be a sales clerk inhibiting their impulse to argue with an unhappy customer. Second to last is vocabulary, which increases until late adulthood. A therapy client can find the right words to use when expressing feelings during a session. And finally, speed of processing peaks in our 20s. A parent driving kids to school can react quickly to unexpected road hazards. Figure 11.18. Though most adolescents and emerging adults can attain formal operational thinking or the ability to think abstractly, we often need experience to do. The saying, practice makes progress, perfectly describes the way we hone this ability. Figure 11.19, showing empathy is an important interpersonal skill. Empathy is not just feeling sorry for somebody, it's actually putting yourself in the shoes of other people and feeling their emotions as well. Figure 11.20, divergent thinking and creativity may involve scientific exploration, not just artistic pursuits. 11.21, people help each other for many reasons. In section 11.5, Context, Higher Education, and Work Achievement in Early Adulthood, we'll briefly describe the challenges and opportunities facing young adults in preparing for work and career. We'll describe formal and informal educational opportunities in early adulthood, as well as explain the considerations surrounding workforce entry for the developing young adult. Figure 11.22, becoming an adult often means choosing a pathway to take in life, at least for now. Figure 11.23, this chart shows the 2021 percentages of people's educational attainment by 25 in the United States. Note that almost a quarter of respondents earned a bachelor's degree. Let's look at the first color, which is light blue, which did not complete high school or equivalent. That's 8.9%. Completed high school is 27.9%. Next is a teal color, being completed some college but no degree, is at 14.9%. Those who completed an associate degree in pink is 10.5%. Completed a bachelor's degree in orange is 23.5%. And those that completed an advanced degree, a master's, or a doctoral degree in your traditional green is at 14.4%. Figure 11.24. Colleges provide many opportunities for learning both in and out of the classroom. Figure 11.25. Community colleges and vocational schools offer training and education to prepare for a variety of careers. We're having a constant debate and more information come out, and I'm sure as the years this progresses, depending on the year that you're watching this, that there may be more of a focus on cheaper institutions, or should I say more cost-effective institutions, being that a community college can provide both a vocation as well as the first 2 years of your college education where you can transfer to a bachelor's degree or go ahead and enter into the job force. There are a lot of opportunities when you go to the 4-year career where you can talk even more with scholars of the particular area that you are wanting to focus on and get their advice on how to proceed post the baccalaureate level. But I am curious at how college, especially with the inclusion of AI and other items, is going to change over the coming years. What will the traditional college experience look like, and how will the demographics change? Will more individuals opt for the more cost-effective institutions like community colleges or state institutions? And how does that impact the private institutions moving forward? Figure 11.26. College teaches a wide variety of skills that can be applied to many different careers. And that will conclude this chapter of the OpenStax Lifespan Development textbook. I hope to see you in the next one for chapter 12. Thank you for reaching the end of this video. And thank you to OpenStax for once again providing this free resource for students. You can find a link to the textbook in the description below. Have a good rest of your day.